What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again on Sunday, coming off a very good night with the plays. Again, except Anthony Davis, he let us down with less than 50 DraftKings points, but everyone else, Chris Paul, Tyreek Evans, Hollis Jefferson, Jeff Green, and Quinn Cook especially returned a lot of value. Quinn Cook dropping 42 or like 42 DraftKings points at only 3,400, so an insane value there. He was pretty chalky, but Quinn Cook got it done last night. But we're back here again with the 3-game slate here on Sunday, tipping off at 6 p.m. A little bit early here. We got some solid games to target on this 3-game slate, so it should be a good one. And I got my money 6 for you, my favorite 6 guys to go ahead and throw in your lineup to go and win some money. So drop a like in the video before we get going. Let's try to get over 100 likes again, and let's get into it here. I'm going to go back with Anthony Davis. Even though he let me down last night, I'll forgive him on that one and go back to him against the Celtics here. A team that he normally plays very well against. Had a huge game against them earlier this year, dropping 75 DraftKings points. That game went to overtime, but that was with DeMarcus Cousins in that game, and he still had insane usage. Like, the Celtics were daring him to shoot that mid-range shot. I remember watching that game, and Anthony Davis was just knocking it down every single game. And he's had 2 games back-to-back where he hasn't done that well. And this is a must-win game against the Celtics here. I think he'll get some extra run, probably closer to 40 minutes in this game. On the back-to-back series, actually been very good. Like, he had like a 90 DraftKings point effort on the back-to-back against Phoenix earlier this year. And against the Celtics last time, he was coming off like a 50-minute game the 2 nights before, so he's definitely capable, even though when he's like not that rested, capable of coming out with a huge night because he's a freak of nature. Doesn't seem to get that tired. So 11,400, a solid price tag. We know how crazy his upside is. Lock him in there. And for my second guy, we're going to go back to Tobias Harris. I mentioned him the other night at 7,500 here. Another great play. His usage and his shot totals has been trending up. He's filling in that Blake Griffin role very well. And he's just been a bullseye from 3, and just everyone on the hoop, everyone on the court recently hitting a ton of shots, over 50%, 3 out of the last 4 games. And against Portland here, one of the best spots to attack them is at that small forward, power forward role. We saw LeBron go off against them the other night. We saw Kevin Durant go off against them a couple nights in a row. So Tobias Harris, a great play here, and he's been really the focal point of their offense. Lou Williams has been struggling in that starting lineup, so I think Tobias Harris is in for another big game here. Lock him in there. And for my third guy, we're going to stick with that game. The good thing about this game is both these teams, actually no, Portland's on a back-to-back, but the Clippers are fresh and ready to go in this game. Like, the New Orleans Pelicans are on a back-to-back, and both these teams, Houston and Minnesota, are on a back-to-back. So the fastest paced game, if I had to guess, would be this Portland Clippers game here. So CJ McCollum, another guy in a great spot against the Clips with Lou Williams in the starting lineup at shooting guard. He's not a great defender. I think CJ McCollum can take advantage of that matchup there. And they've actually been defending the point guard pretty well recently with Austin Rivers somehow. I guess his defense has been picking it up recently. So CJ McCollum, he'll probably have some good shot totals again in this game. He's been shooting very well recently. Over 50%, 3 of the last 4 games, similar to Tobias Harris. And the DraftKings points have fallen. It's a pretty cheap price at 7,100. I think he can approach 40 DraftKings points in this up-tempo, high-scoring game. So CJ, lock him in there. And for my fourth guy, Jeff Teague, price seems a little bit too cheap at 5,900 here in this matchup. So, it's not a bad matchup either against Chris Paul. A pretty good defender, but I think Teague is going to be more active on the offensive end in this game. He's already averaging over 30, or around 30 DraftKings points per game against his team. So at 5,900, he should be good for around 5 times value. Like, normally he's safe for 30 plus DraftKings points. So like I said, the price is cheap at 5,900. Jeff Teague, not much more to say here. The over-under is projected very high, so in that higher scoring game, Jeff Teague can definitely get some more DraftKings points with some more baskets going in, some more possible assists. He's kind of been flirting with some double-doubles recently, with the assist total going up around like 8 in some of these games, 10 and one of the got a double against Golden State. So he's capable of having a big night here. So lock him in there. And for my fifth and final guy, I need to move this around. I don't know why they're putting CJ McCollum at the point guard, but we're going to put Jeff Teague at the point guard. So it makes it look a little bit better there. But for my fifth and final guy, AL-FAROUQ AMINU here at 4,400. He's been returning some great value recently, over 30 the last 2 games. And against the Clippers, like I said, this is probably my favorite game to target. AMINU in a pretty good spot against the Clips. He's done very well against them this year. 2 games, knocked down some threes in both those games, shooting 46% against them. So I guess they're just leaving him open, daring him to shoot. And he's definitely capable of flirting with a double-double with some rebounds in this game, averaging 34 DraftKings points in both those games. That's the big thing with him. With Nurkic kind of getting less minutes in the last couple games, AMINU can definitely get more rebounds like we've seen, over or 9, 9, and 12 the last 3 games. So that's great to see if he can hit a few threes and get the rebounds, and he's always active on the defensive end like we saw last game with a block and 2 steals. So with all those things considered, I think AMINU can have a very good game here. And the Clippers turned the ball over like 1,000 times last game against the Thunder. I remember Corey Brewer had like 6 steals. Paul George had like 3 steals. So AMINU can get some steals here. And Steven Adams had like 6 blocks or something. So they definitely gave up a ton of defensive stats last game. I'm not sure how much you can look into that, but I think AMINU can have a very good game here on the defensive end and flirt with the double-double. So lock him in there. So that's the top 5. You got Jeff Teague, CJ McCollum, Tobias Harris, Anthony Davis, and AMINU. Leaves you with 4,500 man per player, but we got a very cheap guy, similar to Quinn Cook, Ian Clark here tonight at 3,400. Rondo was rested last night in the front end and the back-to-back, but Ian Clark, he's just playing way too well to not give him good minutes again in this game. Even with Rondo in the lineup, he was still getting solid run like we saw against the Spurs. He picked up more minutes than Rondo in there. 32 minutes against the Hornets, 21 minutes. So he's capable of having solid minutes. Like this was a blowout here, so he got some more run. But the drafting points have been there, like around 18 drafting points per game recently, with some upside of 20+ drafting points. He's kind of a streaky shooter, but a guy that can just get hot and hit a lot of shots and get 10+ points on the field like we've seen recently. Like it's seen the last 4 games, over 10 points on the field. In this game, they're going to need someone to step up besides Anthony Davis. Drew Holiday will probably be pretty solid, but I think Ian Clark can be that third offensive weapon for them. So they might even just put like Ian Clark at the shooting guard role and then kind of have, or put him at the small forward role, kind of have like the 3-guard lineup. And even if they don't do that, Rondo, he's very streaky of a player. He could be having a bad night from the field, and they just put Ian Clark for him instead if Ian Clark is catching fire like he has the last couple of games. So definitely a great play with tremendous upside. So 3,400, Ian Clark, lock him in there. Could be a little bit risky, maybe more GPP because he could get less minutes of Rondo's kind of killing it against his old team. I do like the narrative for Rondo there, and he is kind of rested up on the back-to-back, but Ian Clark is playing so well. Tough to avoid at 3,400. So that is it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. 5,100 remaining per player. Definitely doable to fill this out. You got some great upside with all of these plays, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Drop a like on the video if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already. To get these plays every single night, you can turn the notifications on, hitting that bell icon there to get notified every time I upload. It should be a good night here. I love these plays. Feel very good about them. Let's keep it going, guys. Some great plays the last few nights. Enjoy your Sunday night. Hope you guys had a good St. Patty's Day, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.